There we go. Thanks, Tasha. Okay. Well, I think I've given enough of an introduction now. I don't think we've got any more housekeeping. I haven't missed anything, have I, Tasha? So no. I think I'm going to pass over to our first speaker, and Emma from In-Kind Direct. Would you like to tell us more about what you can provide to the sector?
I will and can. Thank you. Thanks very much, Amelia and Tasha, for inviting me here, and it's great to see everybody on this call. So yeah, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a brief introduction to who we are. Please feel free to use the chat if you've got any questions, and I can stop and start, or there will be questions kind of at the end as well. I don't plan to speak for very long. But yes, I'm Emma, and I'm the charity network manager for the charity In-Kind Direct. We're a UK charity, and we believe that everyone deserves access to life's essentials to keep people clean, safe and well, and that no usable product should go to waste. And we were founded about 26 years ago by the now King Charles, born out of his passion for environmental causes. So originally to divert surplus products from landfill and offer a simple solution to product giving. So in this short introduction I'm going to run through, I'm just going to tell you a little bit more about what we do, but really crucially how you can access products yourself to support the people in your community across Norfolk, but also how you as organisations can save money as well, which I think is a theme for this session. And then finally, just quickly explain how you can get involved too. So Tasha, if you're happy to move us on to the next slide. Thank you. So the first thing I just wanted to say is that we're a charity that supports charitable organisations, and we've got a really broad definition of what we mean by charitable organisations and the range of groups that we help. Together, we help about 345,000 people every single week. And as you can see, we're really a broad organisation, and just looking earlier at the organisations in our network, we've currently got 35 across Norfolk. So they include food pantries, we've got a Salvation Army in Norfolk, a hygiene bank, a sports foundation, a youth group, a social supermarket, we've got some schools and an academy. So I think that actually says as much as this slide does about that breadth. So really it's any organisation with a charitable purpose, not just a registered charity, but a CIC, social enterprise, and all kinds of other groups as well. And essentially what we do together is redistribute consumer products that we get donated by companies. So these are things like toothpaste, shampoo, laundry supplies, household items, clothing, toys, small electrical items. You know, things that if you think about the people and the communities that you're supporting might go without or might struggle to afford, but equally you as organisations might find useful yourself for your own supplies. And we provide those all for an absolute fraction of the retail price. And we share the belief that it just cannot be right that in our society so many people just still can't access the essentials to support their health, happiness and hygiene, and never more so now than during this cost of living crisis. So Tasha, if you don't mind just taking us to the next slide. I think this organisation in our network sums it up really well. And I'm sorry it's not a Norfolk organisation, but yeah, I'll give you a moment just to read what they have to say. So yeah, that may well resonate for some of you, for some of what you're experiencing when families, in this case, households, individuals are struggling to even pay for the basic essentials. You know, we working together can help ease that burden. So the photograph is quite deliberate, the one that I'm showing on the screen here. We're very proud of toilet roll. We talk about toilet roll a lot at In-Kind Direct. It's one of the products that we're very lucky we're able to get in really big quantities from the companies that are donating to us. Oh, bless you, whoever sneezed. So last year we provided the equivalent of enough toilet rolls to help over 38,000 families for a whole month. So we are talking big quantities. Right, so this sort of network is really important, and I will talk both about how we can work with you to support families and households and individuals, but I really want to underline the point that that we can help you as organisations save money. So whether it's supplies that you need for your own premises or facilities or activities, or if you are already providing, perhaps it might be hygiene bundles. No, it's all right. We heard you, but sneezing is all part of nature's way, isn't it? If you're providing perhaps, self-care bundles or hygiene packs or top-ups to food parcels, then you can see how you can save money on products that you're distributing out as well. So on the next slide, Tasha, I just give an indication of the kind of range of companies that we work with. So we've got retailers, manufacturers and startups. Some have been with us right from the start. Some have joined as a response to the pandemic, and actually more recently with the cost of living crisis and our recent and ongoing work around hygiene poverty. And they want to join to help tackle issues, like poverty today. That's great to hear. Oh, thank you for that example that you've used us already. Or perhaps when we open it up to questions, you might be willing to perhaps share your experience or how you use our services. But yeah, we get the products that they donate out to organisations just like yours. So on the next slide, I just want to provide a really brief overview about our model, our way of working. So products come in and companies donate to us in bulk. So, we get truckloads of toothbrush and toothpaste and toilet roll. And our distribution centre is based in Telford in Shropshire. So they come to us and then we sort them, we clean them down, and we then break them into much smaller quantities for distributing out to organisations in our network. We then will upload photos and descriptions about those products to our website so that when you register, you receive a network and that gives you access to that website. And to register, it's completely free. And then each of the products that we put on our website, each of them will have a very small nominal charge associated with it, which is a very small contribution to our operational costs. So that includes things like the storage, includes things like the packing, the sorting, but it also includes delivery out to your door or whichever address you ask us to send the products out to. And just to give you a sense of what I mean by a nominal charge, that charge kind of works out at between about 10% to about 20% of the retail price. So you can see how that represents a significant savings on any of the products that you access. And then you can then give those products out free of charge to the people that you support, or products like hand wash and disinfectant spray and tea and coffee, they can be used for your own services and activities as well. And then finally, we share the impact, what the difference those products make. So, if it's a toothbrush and toothpaste, just what the difference about having a clean, fresh mouth means, and the smile that it puts on your face. What having access to period products or deodorant can make to the self-esteem and confidence of a young person. So we're able to share the difference that makes and the impact of those products back with the corporate partners, which really genuinely helps to unlock more of those donations. So that's how we work. So how to get involved? Tasha, can we move to the very last slide? So there's the address, and I'll pop it in the chat as well. That's our website and how you can register. We've got a form on the website, and it takes no time at all to process that. So it couldn't be any simpler, really easy to find, and then you have access to those products. So really happy if we come off slide sharing, just to take any questions that you have, or anyone who's willing to share any experience that they've had of In-Kind Direct, anything that I might have missed that you've experienced for real. I'd love to hear from you.
Thank you, Emma. That was great. And I think we have got some questions already actually in the chat. Berenia, would you like to ask your question?
Yes, thank you very much. That sounds fantastic. I was just curious if it is accessible for community interest companies too, or only for charities.
No, and I'm sorry I didn't make that clear enough in that first slide. the definition of charitable organisation is so wide, so absolutely social enterprises, CIC, CIOs, definitely. So please do come and find us and sign up. And then you saw schools there and Cubs and Scouts. So no, it's not just registered charities. I really want to underline that point. Really broad. If you're doing something with a charitable purpose, we want to be able to support you.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks for the question. It's a good one. I obviously didn't make it clear at the beginning.
Does anyone else have any questions? You want to sort of raise your hand or put it in the chat?
I love that example that was given in the chat. I'm just reading it through now of the starter packs, and that's absolutely where we see a lot of the products being distributed. Starter packs, tenancy packs, hygiene packs, self-care packs, pamper packs, gift packs. Yeah, all kinds of ways of bundling up products that people might need, and the example is there of perhaps someone who's escaping domestic abuse, might have absolutely nothing to their name, so we help provide just items that can give them a start, and something we'll be doing more of over the summer, particularly with family welfare organisations and schools, is thinking about hygiene packs for children and for young people, and trying to kind of take away the stigma of hygiene poverty, and shine a light on the realities of people, still in this day and age, sharing toothbrushes, washing their hair in soap and water, and what that means for people, how it inhibits some of their life chances.
Thanks, Emma. Yeah, I think I heard on Lakeista Dentist saying that there's some children in Norfolk who get to the age of 6 without ever seeing a toothbrush. So you can see a service like this is really needed. Oh, thanks for putting that also, the register for free in-kind direct link as well. And I think there were some contact details on your slideshow, weren't there?
There were, and actually I can just put in the chat as well. I'll put it again. There's my email address. If anyone was just too coy to ask any questions, you can always either follow up at the end of the session. I think we've got a bit of space there, or directly with me by email. Yeah,
we'll save the chat at the end, so we've got any links in there, and also we'll obviously have the recording. If no one else has any questions for Emma now, if you do think of them later on, just put them in the chat, or you can email Emma directly. If there's no questions for now, I think it would be good. I know, Phil, you've got to leave after this, haven't you? So shall we? I'll hand straight over to you, and you can tell us a little bit about the Beryl Bike offer. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Hopefully you can hear and see me okay. Do let me know if there's any technical issues. I'm multitasking today, which some of you may find shocking. I'm currently doing an event somewhere, so I've just taken some time out to do this session today. So thanks for inviting me along. For those of you that don't know, I'm from a company called Beryl. I'll share my screen in a second, and it will give a little bit of an overview. But those of you that live in Norwich have probably seen our green bikes and scooters on the streets now for a number of months and years now. We actually recently had our 3rd anniversary in Norwich, and it was documented in the press. And we've had nearly 900,000 journeys on our vehicles within the city, which is nearly 3 million kilometres travelled by residents and visitors. There were some interesting stats, things like it was 67 times around the world, 570,000 tonnes of carbon saved, nearly 3,000 flights between London and Edinburgh that have been saved as a result of people choosing more sustainable modes of transport, i.e. the Beryl system. So we're seeing that it's well embedded in the transport network within the city. And part of what I do at the business, which is why I'm here today, is our community outreach program. And we appreciate that our service can be accessed by a lot of people that may experience transport poverty, or may not have a car, or may look for the ways of getting around the city. For the everyday user, you can hire a Beryl vehicle from just 5 pence a minute. So without any of the charity work, which I'll share with you today, it is still very affordable for someone just to take a short trip at 5p a minute. But what I'm here today to share with you is our Community Champions initiative, which is where we support local organisations CICs, charities, voluntary sector workers, a whole range of different people from different backgrounds, with a range of 3 minutes and free access to the service. So I'll take you through it very quickly. I'll put all the links in the chat afterwards for you. If you want to get involved and how you can apply, all of that stuff will then be detailed for you. And then I'll take some questions. I mentioned briefly who we are, so I don't need to go too much into that. I will share this with you, but the crux really is this here. Our Community Champions Initiative is our CSR arm of the business of what we do. We are a B corporation, and those of you that have come across one before or work for one know that they have, and we have higher standards that we have to meet within communities, and it's about not just the profit of the business, it's about reinvesting in grassroots and sustainability. So we really pride ourselves on that, and that's what drives this initiative. And what we do is we provide access to Beryl for those that might need it most, but often it's people that don't know this exists or haven't been on a bike for a long time or don't understand the costs or how it can be used. We have provided, since we ran the initiative in 2019, over £7,000 of complimentary ride minutes, which is the access to the Beryls, across about 50 organisations. Bear in mind now we're in 19 different parts of the UK. Norwich was actually our second scheme behind our Bournemouth one that we ever launched. We've currently given vouchers out to 22 community organisations and charities and projects across Norfolk, and organisations such as Voluntary Norfolk, North Community Foundation, Norfolk County Council, and their charity arms have been really, really instrumental in helping us reach the groups and the people that might benefit from this initiative. So who would this benefit? Obviously, the people that you are representing within your areas, your local authorities, anyone at all that comes to you for support or help can access these vouchers and get some free travel on us. It could be that you give them out to volunteers who are sacrificing their time for you, which many of you have and rely solely on volunteer support. It could be giving it out for people to do bike rides with friends or family. As we know, cycling, I don't need to share too much about the benefits, but when it's so cheap to access at 5p a minute, it's healthy, it's great for the environment, it's such a nice thing to do in your own personal time as well as for commuting. So it could be that they're used for people just to go out on a little ride. I'll give you an example of some groups that we've supported and how that's worked out. It could be for fundraising. I've actually recently sent some vouchers to a primary school in Norwich who are just doing some fundraising for their annual fair. So it could be something like that as well. Or also we work sort of wider with the local authority on different ride initiatives, targeting community groups. So there's not one particular way that the vouchers could be used, but ultimately just think in your mind now, if you would like some and how to apply, would this benefit people that either support us or the people that we are supporting? What happens is any charity, community group, voluntary organisation, CIC who applies, they receive £150 worth of bike rides from Beryl. And those of you that don't know how Beryl works, you basically buy credit on your phone and your account, very similar to kind of pay as you go mobile phone credit. And then that voucher stays on your account then for up to a year. So you would be able to receive 30 of those vouchers, which are worth £5 each. So the end user would pop it on their phone and then go off on their ride. What's interesting with this initiative as well is that it's not just one redemption per person. So if in your organisation you are supporting a small number of people, then those people can keep using those vouchers over and over again. It's not restricted to one per person. We also provide data as well. So every single voucher code that we would give out is tracked, and it's non-personalized that we include. I mentioned those stats at the beginning that I said about from our 3-year anniversary. Those are the kind of things that can be provided for yourselves as well. Number of trips, ride lengths, carb journey saved. So it's very impactful. It's not just a case of having the vouchers as a way of getting around and doing something good. We like to see it as a whole holistic approach and be able to provide people with some really useful feedback on the impact that their travel habits are actually having as well. So I'm just going to quickly put on to some case studies. So I've got 3 I'll share with you. This is an organisation in our Watford scheme called New Hope. They're a homeless charity and organisation. and they've been using the vouchers twofold. One, for some of their younger people who are volunteering for them to go out and do some of their visits around the town to help people who are on the streets, but then also giving the vouchers to some of the people who they are helping to get back on their feet, who have managed to get off the streets and have got some accommodation, are starting to look for work, going for appointments, those sorts of things. So it's just a really nice natural fit for those to have the vouchers so they can then get around. We have a young carer organisation in the Bournemouth scheme where I'm based myself, and they have an employability programme where they help the young carers who are at home pretty much full time to support people in their families, to get out and about and to get back into education, into work. And us just providing the vouchers means that younger people who don't have a car, maybe can't afford the bus or taxis, can have access to our vouchers to get about and do their daily work and their daily business. There is a centre in our Hereford scheme called Close House, and again they work with younger people on sort of a life skills program. And initially during the pandemic they were using them for their staff to do volunteer visits, but as the program has expanded they've had more and more requests from people to access the vouchers to get out and about and do what they need to do on a daily basis. The last one is the Community Action Network. Again, this is in our Bournemouth scheme, and they're a voluntary organisation as well, similar to the ones that you're involved in. And again, there's a number of different ways they've used the vouchers, from just rewarding volunteers during the pandemic to giving out to people that come to them for support as well. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an overview of some examples of how these minutes and vouchers could be used. I'll stop sharing my screen now and take a couple of questions, and then I'll also in the chat just pop the link to our section on our website where people can apply, and you can drop me a message if you have any questions at all. So thank you for your time, and I'm happy to take some questions.
Thanks, Bill. I think there was a question and from Zoe actually, and I think it's about the areas that you cover, because you spoke a lot about Norwich. I understand you cover Wymondham as well, or
Yes, yeah, we do indeed. So what I'll do is I'll also put in the chat the way you can hire. So if you click on that section in the chat, which I'll pop on there very shortly, the map area will come up for you. So the Wymondham expansion was relatively recent, only last year, and it was a result of a number of bikes and scooters being left in that area for genuine reasons. We were finding that the transport networks weren't necessarily the best, and a lot of people were using the Beryl Bikes to get to and from the city centre from there. So that's the recent addition as well. You can also view them within the app as well. So when someone downloads the Beryl app, you can see where you can and can't ride.
oh, someone's asking if you could come to Downham Market.
Yeah. How it works logistically, it's all to do with the council boundary. So when a company sets up a scheme like this, it is always to do with the boundaries of the council. So the extension ones, like the Wymondham one, has been a bit of an extreme case because of the number of vehicles that were going there, but generally that's how it works. So
okay, so you're not suggesting that people take bikes to Downham Market?
You can do, but unfortunately you'll get charged extra a lot of money, which makes it not cheap.
Okay, don't do that then. Did anyone else have any questions for Phil? Phil, did you put your contact details? Were they in the slides already?
No, but what I'll do is my email address is there in the chat. There's also the link to how you can apply. So I'd love to get some applications from some of you that are on the call today. Drop me an email as well. And then what I'll do is I forward this onto both yourself, Amelia, and Tasha, and then feel free to share that slide deck as well. So
just having a look at the chat, there's lots of some good networking going on, which is fabulous, because that's exactly what we want to happen in resource sharing. If there aren't any further questions for Phil, I think we'll say thank you to Phil and let him get back to his event. But thank you so much for joining us today and finding time in your sort of busy schedule to talk to us. And we've got your contact details, so we can pass that on if anyone has any questions. But yeah, thank you very much.
No worries. Thanks, everybody.
The next, we've got Chris as well on the call from the National Trust, and also Carrie from RSPB. So what I'm going to ask is if Chris goes first and then Carrie, and then we'll have some questions after that. So can I hand over to Chris from the National Trust?
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Amelia. So yeah, my name's Chris and I'm the volunteer and community manager based at Felbrick Hall in Sheringham Park on the National Trust. So obviously the National Trust is a nationwide charity, but I look after both the two sites, and my role is really around supporting volunteer recruitment and engaging our volunteers with the work that we do, but also around the new part of my role is around community engagement, which is why I'm here with you guys today. And we've got a new scheme that we've launched or we're piloting that I wanted to kind of talk to you about. So we're aware that access to our sites, we're wanting to engage more groups with coming and visiting, taking part in sort of walks in nature, and the different opportunities you have at our sites. So the Felbrick and Sheringham Community Pass, it aims to make Felbrick and Sheringham Park places that are more accessible for everyone by giving opportunities for groups to connect and engage with local heritage, nature and wildlife. So we're currently piloting it this year, and the pass is an annual pass, and basically what it does is give discounted admission and access to both our properties for a year. And that means once you've got the pass, you can visit as many times as you want. You can visit for different reasons. So we've had a community group that's signed up, and they're going to use it as some part of their social events for some of their volunteers and some of their service users, and they've booked in a couple of visits to come and see us, which is great. So yeah, it could be used for however you want to use it for, and obviously we've got the variety of options to come and visit us both at Felbrick and at Sheringham Park as well. So a couple of things about the pass. So you have to be registered charitable organisation that supports kind of social health and well-being needs within the community or the users that you're looking after. We are initially looking at the North Norfolk kind of area, but I'm happy to have conversations with any groups that might cover a wider Norfolk area or geographic area, or you're interested in it, and I'm happy to have a conversation. And basically just be willing to take part and engage with us. So we've got an application form and a short joining survey, and the idea is we want to work with the groups about what we offer. So it might be after this after the pilot, this might not be the offer that the groups are after. They might be after something else, and I'm really keen to kind of engage groups with that work really. So this is our initial kind of offer, but it might well be that something else, and I'm happy to kind of explore options with different groups about actually they might want a more bespoke offer or work with us in a very different way, and more than happy to explore those ideas and options really. I'm happy to share my contact details, and I've got lots more information in terms about the pass, but I wanted to kind of keep it quite quick and short for you guys today and not say too much. But yeah, I'm happy to take any questions on the pass. So just a few practical things, I suppose, before I do. So it's an annual pass. So whenever you take the pass out, you can have that pass for a year, and you can use it whenever you want. There's no limit in terms of numbers in terms of your group. And it covers things like parking and admission, so it covers the whole range of things. You wouldn't have to worry about separate car parking. We can provide the passes, all those kind of things for you. And you can use the pass for however you want to use it for. So whether it's social visits, whether you want to use it to meet with any service users and go for a walk in part of our areas, so it's outside of an office or outside of anything else, it's really up to you, and it's really flexible to be able to do that. And there's no restrictions on timings or days that you can visit. It's whenever our site is open and available for you to use really. And that's it from me really.
Thank you, Chris. Should we pass straight over now to Carrie? Carrie, are you ready to tell us a little bit about your RSPB offer?
Yeah, sure. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. So the RSPB has probably been best known as an organisation that works for the preservation of species, particularly bird species and habitat. So we are a national organisation very invested in that. But of recent years, we've become very aware that there are great benefits to people for being outside in the natural world, in the environment outside, not only for the physical benefits, but obviously for our mental and our emotional well-being. So the RSPB is going down the road of looking how we can support people with this better. So some of our reserves are hooked into green prescribing through GP referrals. We've not been able to do that in Norfolk yet, but it's certainly on our radar to connect with GPs that are happy to take us up on that offer and progress that further. in the interim time, what we want to do is to be able to offer some mindfulness walks and sensory walks on our reserve at Titchwell Marsh. We have done something like this in the past, and it's always been very popular. The other thing we are aware of is, obviously, particularly in today's current climate, that there is a cost issue for people accessing, you know, our reserves, and reserves tend to be remote places. They're not necessarily cheap to get to, very difficult on public transport. So we're just trying to combine this offer of a natural walk that meets lots of requirements for people's well-being at a reduced cost. So for instance, generally, if you're not an RSPB member and you come to the reserve and do a guided walk, it would cost you £15, which includes your entry. So to go on a mindfulness walk with us will be £2.50. So that's the whole price. And after the walk or before the walk, you can obviously stay on the reserve for as long as you like. So there are obviously undoubted benefits of being able to do something like this. The mindfulness walk will be a very structured walk. It'll only be about an hour long. The idea is that it allows you to enjoy nature in a more connected way, at a much slower pace. So we talk about grounding ourselves literally to nature. How does it feel when you stand on the earth? What's that feeling? What's connecting you? If you're sitting on a seat, how does it feel with your feet on the earth? Let's look at the small things that are around us. We are very often in our lives overwhelmed by the big stuff that's going on. Our minds are full of the bills that are coming in, the things that are going on at work, the things that are going on with the kids at school, the problems that you might be having perhaps in a relationship, and we are not able to take time to enjoy sort of the smaller, simple things of life. So this is also about being able to step back from those overwhelming problems and look at something very small, take a bit of time to look at it, explore our senses about feeling, using touch, hearing, sight, looking up at the sky and remembering that even behind those really dark, oppressive clouds, that there is a blue, clear sky behind that. So the idea of the mindfulness walk is to be able to center ourselves in the positive things about life and enjoy the moment. So that's the offer that we're doing. It's something new for this group, I guess. I don't know. We will have to advertise it on our normal booking platform, which is a platform called New Tickets. And that would be sort of an open platform for anyone, whether you're an individual or part of a work group or an organisation, to be able to go and book tickets, either for individuals or for groups. We're going to be running these probably twice a month between April and October as a trial enterprise to see how they go. So if anyone wants any more information, I can put my contact details in the chat, and then you can get back to me, or I can answer questions now if anyone's got anything they want to know more about.
Thank you, Carrie. And has anybody got any questions for Carrie, or actually for Chris as well? Because we moved straight from one to the other. I can see there's been quite a lot in the chat. Seems to be lots of information sharing. Did anyone have any questions? If you want to like raise your hands or just actually put your camera on and ask the questions, that would be fine. I think Carrie said she was going to put some questions in the, or put her contact details in the chat. Does anyone have,
I've actually got a question for Carrie and Chris. It sounds like both of your schemes are quite flexible in terms of how they can be used by community groups. So I was just wondering if it would be suitable to be used for staff and volunteers, as well as the people that the charities or groups support.
Yeah, I suppose it would be for anybody involved in the organisation who would like to take a pass out with us, really. So it wouldn't just be the service users; it could be used for the staff and the team there. So I'm more than happy to have a conversation of the flexibility, even from that perspective as well. So yeah.
Yeah, and I'll echo that. I think one of the things we're very aware of, to be honest, is that as an organisation, the RSPB is a very big organisation, and I, as a member of staff, have a lot of backup from my organisation for my own well-being in terms of what they do for us as staff and our volunteers. But I know that there are lots of small independent organisations that don't have that. They don't have the facilities, they don't have the resources, and they don't have the money that a big organisation or big corporate company has. So I think we'd be very keen to work with groups like that. So small businesses, people that maybe have volunteers as well, home carers, those kind of groups really are, I guess, we're particularly keen to support.
Brilliant, fantastic. That's really good to know.
I think what's been great about this session is the idea that Kerry just said about, larger organisations who have more resources sharing them with smaller ones, and I can see some sort of offers of resource sharing and information sharing going on in the chat, which is exactly how we want the Voluntary Norfolk network to work and how we want organisations to use it. Particularly during the cost of living crisis, it's about supporting each other in whichever way we can. So that's great. Does anyone else have any questions or comments or things they'd like to add? Maybe some other resources that we haven't mentioned today that you think you'd like to share with the rest of the call? If there's nothing at the moment, I can't see anything coming up in the chat or anyone typing, so I'm going to pass over to Tasha and she can sort of wrap up and just tell you a little bit about some other events that we've got coming up.
Yeah, thank you very much, Amelia. So as we mentioned at the start of the session, this event is part of a series of workshops that we're running to support the voluntary sector with some of the many challenges of the cost of living crisis. So we've recently had a session on getting your message out to the right people with Adam from Bricks, which is a marketing and branding agency, which is also a social enterprise. And that recording of that event is now on our YouTube channel. And then the final two events in the series are happening, one next week and one in April. Next week's session should be really interesting. So we're going to be speaking with RAD HR, who are a non-profit collective looking at ways to make policies that are more inclusive, a bit more radical, and more reflective of organisations' aims and missions. So working specifically with voluntary organisations and community groups. So really, that's not just for HR professionals, it's actually more for those smaller groups. Many of you here today probably might be involved in writing policies and making those sorts of decisions. So it's a space to talk about that, have an open conversation about the challenges of making policies that reflect your organisation's missions. And we think that this is a good kind of time to have that conversation whilst the cost of living crisis is kind of impacting on staff recruitment and retention in the sector. And then in April, so it's April 27th, so a little after the Easter break, so a little bit further off, we've got New Philanthropy Capital coming to talk to us about their research into the effects of the cost of living crisis on charities and voluntary groups. And they'll be speaking specifically about how that research in Norfolk is different to or similar to the wider picture across the UK. And it will be a chance for you to feed back to them about the specific challenges you're facing as well. One of the really interesting things that they're doing as well is providing a data bank of their findings, which could be really useful when putting together funding bids. So if you want some kind of statistics and evidence to back up claims that you're putting together in funding bids to evidence the value of what you're doing and the need for it in Norfolk, they've got free data available to you. So that should be another really interesting conversation. So I'll wrap it up there. I'll send everybody a link to those other 2 workshops, as well as all the contact details that have been shared here today. And please do get in touch with our speakers if you've got questions or you want to continue the conversation. There's also a very short survey, which it would be great if you could fill out for us, just so we can get some feedback on this session, and have some idea of whether this is the sort of thing you'd like to see more of. So I'll just post that in the chat, and I'll include that in the follow-up email as well. Oh, Berenia, yes, please do come on the mic or write in the chat.
Hello, sorry, on the last minute, and everyone is already getting the kettles on. I just realized that may fit nicely here, actually. So just a little shout out, and you're welcome to also share my contact details for anyone who is interested. RippleX, we are a social enterprise supporting long-term unemployed people. And we are currently piloting a component that we hope we can make a regular offer, which is we will run small projects for local charities for free. That can be, so our first one will probably be renovating a team meeting room of a local charity. So we will be providing the materials, anything actually, the labor, and that will be led by a professional in the trade. So in this case, this is a maintenance firm. So the idea is basically we want to gift small projects that can be done over the course of 2 months by a fairly unskilled or low-skilled workforce under professional guidance to local nonprofit organizations, obviously benefiting our participants on the way so they gain work experience and confidence. This is very open-minded so far, so we are open to suggestions. I have sent emails around before, so basically anyone who has this kind of thing you always wanted to get done and there was never just enough time or budget, have a think, and if you'd like to approach us, you're very welcome to do so, and we can have a chat.
That sounds fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that. If you want to, I can definitely include your contact details, but if you want to send over any details of that, which I can include in the email, then please do, and I'll circulate that to everyone.
I will do, yes. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I think we've actually finished at 10 minutes early, which is a record for us. So you've got 10 minutes extra to, like Berenia said, put the kettle on and have a cup of tea before you go on to your next meeting or job. But thanks for everyone. Thanks to all our speakers, the ones that are still here, really useful. And also thank you for taking part in the chat. Really great to see so much sharing. And please do come to our next events. But yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Thanks so much.
Thank you.